Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us. K&A Custom Crafts on Facebook.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How's it going out there? Welcome to the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. I am Ace, and that's right. You're watching another episode of Sports Minute, but we are joined tonight by none other than, that's right, Mr. Big B. How you doing tonight, my man?
Hey, doing good. Got a nice round of golf in today. Lost one ball, so I consider that a plus for myself. So outside of that, ready to talk sports.
And then, of course, tonight, our special guest, Mr. Mess Around Dave. How you doing tonight, my man?
I'm good. Just chilling at home, doing laundry day, hanging out with the kids.
I love it. And then, of course, later on tonight, we're going to actually be joined by none other than J-Mac. We're just kind of waiting for him to get off work, and then he'll go ahead and hop on here and join us later on. So, as everybody knows, generally, the past 32 weeks that we've been doing this, we've had a top 5 quarterbacks list of like every team. Well, guess what happened? We finally reached the end of it. We have no more top 5 lists to go over for teams as far as quarterback wise. But now what we've done, instead of going quarterback wise, is we've actually started a new thing now. We're going to go over the top 5 best players of that team overall. And so this week, we decided to go ahead and we decided to start in the NFC West. So with the NFC West, we decided to go ahead and start with that team known as the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I know Big B always talks about how he loves to go first because he loves his top 5 lists. Oh. And I know you do. Big B. I know you love those top 5.
Love any top list, It's always good conversation pieces.
So, Big B, without further ado, then it's all you, my man. You go ahead and you take off with that top 5 list.
First time I got honors today. So, all right. So, talk about the Cardinals. It was a difficult list, I think, but I narrowed it down to 5. I hope everybody enjoys them. My number 5, I'm going to give some love to the big guys up front. Dan Deisdorf, offensive lineman. He
Deerdorf,
played.
Yes.
Yeah, Deerdorf. Yep. Out of the 160 games he played, he started 150 of them, which I think is pretty, unique in the time he played. He's a Hall of Famer, 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro. So that's my number 5. Number 4, I'm going to go with defensive end, Calais Campbell.
Calais Campbell?
Yeah, him. I'm sorry. Did not mean to butcher his name.
You're good.
So out of the 138 games he played for the Cardinals, 120 he started. 6-time Pro Bowler, 1-time All-Pro, and he was elected to the All Hall of Fame team for the 2010 decade, I guess they call it. Number 3, I went with Kurt Warner. I know he didn't spend too much time there, but when it comes to Cardinals, he's one of the guys that jumps out at me. So out of 61 games he started or played for him, 57 of them he started. Not the best of record, but not the worst. 27-30, just under 16,000 passing yards. 1 Pro Bowl, 1 Super Bowl appearance for him. Number 2 and 1, I kind of debated on which I wanted to go through. I might get a little slack for this one, but number 2, I'm going to go with Larry Fitzgerald. He's only missed 22 games since he's been in the league. He started 61 of them. He's played in 163. 1,400 receptions, 906 in touchdowns, a catch ratio of 63%, which I think is phenomenal. Only 3 fumbles, 11-time Pro Bowler, 1 All-Pro, and he also was elected to the 2010 All-Decade Hall of Fame team. Number 1, I went with the guy who gave up his career to serve our country, which I think is phenomenal for him to do. Mr. Pat Tillman, free safety, strong safety. In the 60 games he played, he had 39 starts. I know his stats aren't the greatest, but when it comes to Cardinals, that's definitely one guy that jumps out at me every time we bring up the Cardinals. So that's my top 5.
It's not a bad top 5. And look, I completely respect what Pat Tillman did.
Oh yeah.
I just couldn't put him in my top 5 because when I think of a top 5 list, I have to go with basically off of stats and what they have done for their team. And so number 5, when I really thought about it, I actually started with Aeneas Williams at number 5, the cornerback for the Cardinals that actually played from 1991 to 2000. So when Aeneas Williams was there, he actually had 46 picks during his Arizona tenure. Now, when you think about it, though, he had 9 pick sixes over his course of his career with the Arizona Cardinals. Now, with these 9 pick sixes, it actually ranks amongst the all-time leaders. And so that's why I'm like, you know what? Aeneas Williams, you have to put him in the top 5. Phenomenal quarterback. Yeah. And now generally, I'll come out and be like, you made the list, which is not always a good thing when I say you made the list. But on this one, it's actually a good thing that he made the list because it's a top 5 list. So That's why I'm like, this is amazing. I love it. And then number 4, when it comes to the top 5 list, I actually went with Charlie Trippy, which was quarterback / halfback. Okay, and this actually goes all the way back to 1947 to 1955. He's technically the only player that you can claim was actually the best player on a championship Cardinals team. Now, I know you're going to be thinking about, the Super Bowl run that the Cardinals had when they played the Steelers and everything, which I'm going to go ahead and get into that with who I have on my top 5 list when it comes to that Super Bowl period, because there was 2 people in that one that you could technically put on your list. Obviously, you could put out Kurt Warner if you wanted to. You could even put in Larry Fitzgerald. So when I talked about my top 5, I told you who my 5, I told you who 4 was, but I actually went with you, number 3, and I went with Darren Deerdorf. And the reason is because when we sit here, we talk about top 5 lists, it's kind of crazy how nobody ever talks about offensive line. Nobody ever considers or gives them credit for being a top 5 player on that team of all time. But you got to consider Dan Deerdorf, man. He's just a guy that just never allowed sacks. He made first team all pro 76 through 78. I mean, come on, just solid rock on that offensive line. He kind of reminds me of like a Bakhtiari or like a Dwayne Brown or a Tunzel. So it's those guys that he reminded me of. So you have to put him there in your top 5. And then number 2, I went with Larry Wilson. He went from 1960 to 1972, 50 for the Arizona Cardinals. He played for 13 seasons his entire career and made 8 Pro Bowls and 5 All-Pro first teams with the Arizona Cardinals. He nabbed 52 interceptions in his career with the Cardinals. Now, number 1, I don't think anybody's going to be shocked at all when you talk about the greatest Arizona Cardinal of all time. That's right. Number 1, dear in our hearts. I'll tell you, probably my favorite close to my favorite receiver of all time, and I'm not even a Cardinal fan. But how can you not respect the guy? Larry Fitzgerald, absolutely. You have to respect what Larry Fitzgerald has done for the Arizona Cardinals. That year that they went to the Super Bowl against the Steelers, you remember that ridiculous postseason that Larry Fitzgerald had? That was like the year to where he was virtually unstoppable. You know, it was him and Anquan Bolden, and then, of course, Kurt Warner was quarterback, which you might look at this Big B and be like, how do you not put Kurt Warner in your top 5? I wanted to because you could consider him as possibly the greatest Cardinals quarterback to ever play. But Larry Fitzgerald, man, he's my guy. He is my guy. You got to respect him.
Yep.
You got to respect him.
Yep.
All right, so with this, I'm going to go ahead and go to Mr. Mess Around Dave. You're on mute. You're on mute, my man.
How's that better?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, number 5, I'm going with Larry Centers, all-pro fullback. The guy was phenomenal, one of the best fullbacks during his time in the league. Number 4, I'm going to go with Anquan Bolden. 3, Pat Tillman. 2, Kurt Warner. And number 1, you can't have the list without Larry Fitzgerald.
Absolutely, you can't. You can't. And so we have a few comments here before we go on here. So Mr. Randy Cox saying, hey, guys. And then Isaiah is making his presence known, and he's saying, what's up, guys? Hello, Mr. Isaiah. And then, of course, Randy Cox is like, I always make the list. Well, if you made this list, I'll tell you what, that would be a good thing. But you did not make this list. You made the bad list. And then Isaiah is saying he still can't get over my look. So not only, Isaiah, not only did I shave the beard and the mustache, but that's right, my man, I shaved my hair too. I even cut my hair, and that was to make you happy, Isaiah. All right, and thank you, Isaiah, for tagging some people. And then Randy Cox, my hair was that short just once and never again. And then Tim Fielder saying, Ace has joined my ranks in hair. Yes, I have. I'm right there, my man. I'm right there. I'm not quite there like Big B is yet, but I'm close.
Oh yeah.
All right. So talking about this top 5 Arizona Cardinals list that we've been talking about here. So mess around. I'm going to go with you on this one. Not only can you consider Larry Fitzgerald the greatest, Cardinal of all time, but where do you personally rank him amongst the greatest wide receivers of all time?
If this guy had a quarterback, a decent quarterback like Kurt Warner that he played with for a few years, if he had him for his whole career, he'd probably pass Jerry Rice in numbers. So right now, I'd have to put him in like number 2. Rice being number 1.
Now, see, that's where somebody could have an argument with you there. It's because now you're saying if Larry Fitzgerald had the quarterbacks like Jerry Rice had, okay, he had a Joe Montana, he had a Steve Young. So with that being said right there, you can almost consider Larry Fitzgerald a little bit better because he did a lot with a lot less. And so if you gave him quarterbacks like Joe Montana or Steve Young, imagine what Larry Fitzgerald could have done. Larry Fitzgerald possibly would have been the all-time leader as far as receivers go.
That's true. I think he's got more career tackles than he does drops.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Larry Fitzgerald has possibly the best hands you've ever seen in the history of the NFL.
Well,
but
63% catch ratio. I mean, out of his targets and caught. So yeah, he's up there.
Oh, absolutely. But that's why I'm saying you actually have a case here to say that Larry Fitzgerald could be considered the greatest receiver to ever play based upon the receivers, or not the receivers, but the quarterbacks that he's had in his career. You know, really the best ones that he's had throughout his whole career was Kurt Warner and Carson Palmer. And those were for a limited amount of time. That wasn't even for a long period of time.
Oh, yeah. Jake for a little bit. Was
really
okay.
I mean, Oh, okay. It was okay, decent, nothing
No,
spectacular.
I get what you're saying, Ace. I mean,
But
you
But guys were throwing to him like Max Hall and Ryan Lindley and Brian St. Pierre and guys
Matt
like that. I
Barkley.
mean, huh?
And Matt Barkley.
And Matt Barkley, exactly, and Josh Rosen. And so you got to look at this and be like, he's never
That lineup.
had he's never really had those consistent quarterbacks. That's why you almost have a case to where you can be like Larry Fitzgerald is. You could almost put him at the top. Now, I know people will sit there and be like, no, that's not accurate because of Jerry Rice. Well, number one, Jerry Rice did come out and say he used Stickum. And then number two, Jerry Rice was pretty much a slant man. Okay, that's one thing that Jerry Rice was. Larry Fitzgerald was like a do-it-all, never use Stickum, had some of the greatest hands ever, could beat you in any way possible. Now, is it going to be sad when Larry Fitzgerald retires? Absolutely. Okay, because I know last several years hasn't been his greatest years, but he's still a valuable asset when he's out there. I don't care what anybody says. The dude's still a valuable asset. I would still love to have Larry Fitzgerald on my team because I know that if I throw a ball up to Larry Fitzgerald, the likelihood of him making that catch is probably a 99% shot, like 99.9. If you throw it to him, he's making that catch. But Big B, we didn't get your opinion on this one.
No, I think you guys covered it. I mean, yeah, if you give him better quarterbacks, he's probably with Rice above him or just right below him. But we have to go by what we've seen and his stats, and I mean, I can't think of 5, 6, 7 different receivers that are much better. I mean, you got Rice, Carter, Moss.
Are you calling them? Are you calling them better than Larry Fitzgerald?
They're up there. I mean, they're in the top 5. I mean, Rice, Chris Carter, Randy Moss, Fitzgerald. I put them all right there in the same group. I mean, we're not ranking the best receivers, so I mean.
Well, no. That can definitely be for a different time. But I'm simply saying right here is like you're talking about how Chris Carter. You're even talking about putting Chris Carter ahead of Larry Fitzgerald.
I would say ahead of him. I mean, in the same group. What at least in the top 5 with them. I mean, Rice, Moss for sure are probably elite with Fitzgerald. I mean, Carter's right there. I mean, if we look up the stats, I could be proven wrong, but
So James Gonzalez is coming out saying that he thought that Calvin Johnson was better than Larry Fitzgerald.
But that's another guy too that if you get him a better quarterback and
you see the thing is,
him.
yeah, and you know what? Well, he did have Stafford though, so Stafford is a good quarterback. He's a very underrated quarterback that people have not given a lot of credit to. That's first off there. Now Calvin Johnson, he did not play for as long as Larry Fitzgerald did. I'll tell you that. So I completely understand that. But is it going to be easy to sit here and say that Calvin Johnson is better than Larry Fitzgerald? That to me is really, really tough. I mean, that is tough. But me personally, I would probably stick Larry Fitzgerald in front of Calvin Johnson. It's just because of his reliability and throughout his entire career and the people that he had thrown to him, which was basically nobody except for Kurt Warner and Carson Palmer.
And actually, Tim actually just made a good comment here. If you want loyalty,
Fitzgerald's a man.
Yeah. And he's proven it because everybody here in Minnesota is like, oh, Fitzgerald needs to retire. Come to the Vikings, play 1 year, and retire. He's already said that he's not coming home.
No, but that's where you have to
he's going to play in Arizona, and that's where he's going to play at.
And that's where you have to give him credit for. Because there could have been so many times to where Larry Fitzgerald could be like, yeah, I'm not going to sign here. I mean, you're giving me trash at quarterbacks. And yet he's like, nope, I'm staying. I've been playing with Arizona. I'm going to stay here and try to win.
That's one thing all sports, maybe outside of hockey, is missing is the loyalty aspect of it. you know, you got a guy that's played as long as Fitzgerald did with the same team in a prime position. You know, it's unheard of. So, you know, props to him. I have definitely the utmost respect for him.
All right, mess around. I saw you with like a little look when we were talking about Larry Fitzgerald and Calvin Johnson. So you go ahead and tell me what you were going to say.
All I was going to say is if Calvin Johnson would have played as long as Fitzgerald, his numbers probably just as good, if not better.
Yeah, it's all right. So, and the one thing that James Gonzalez is saying is that weather is better in Arizona than Minnesota.
Well, no, you know, he's right there, but to play for a team you grew up cheering for, you would think would be your goal to play with, but for him, it's loyalty, and I respect
it.
It
is absolutely, absolutely loyalty.
I mean, would I like him on the Vikings? No doubt.
But I think, well, yeah, because I'll tell you, there was multiple years that when everyone's like, "Is Larry Fitzgerald re-signing with Arizona?" I was like, "Please don't, please come and play for Green Bay," because you know I always wanted him there, even though in my heart I knew he wasn't gonna leave and he was gonna stick with Arizona. I still wanted him.
Oh, exactly. You know, so the weather's better in Arizona. I mean,
exactly right. Who wouldn't want Larry? Who wouldn't want Larry?
Exactly. So.
All right. Well, now we're going to go ahead and jump into our next topic of the night, which the next topic is kind of an interesting one that's kind of been brought up as of late quite a bit around the sports world. And guess what? Here he is. Here's the man right now joining us. None other than J-Mac, the bearded one, is here.
He's here.
How's it going? So
long ass day.
So we were just in this debate here to where we were talking about, you know, the top 5 Arizona Cardinals players of all time. Now, I had Larry Fitzgerald as the greatest Cardinal of all time. Big B had Pat Tillman as number 1 of all time. Mess Around had Larry Fitzgerald at number 1 of all time. Do you agree that Larry Fitzgerald should be considered the greatest Arizona Cardinal of all time?
I think it has to be Larry Fitzgerald, and because I guess my only question for you, Big B, and I don't think that Pat Tillman's a bad answer at all. I just want you to know
and
that.
I had a hard time flip flopping him. I mean, I was flip flopping, so.
But I just want to ask you one question. Because I know Ace and I have talked about this before. I think Mess Around was in on the conversation too. We know that Jerry Rice is the greatest receiver of all time, right? Yep. Now, he had Montana and Young.
Which
we did
just talk about this.
And so look who Larry Fitzgerald is. He's had guys throwing touchdowns named Brian St. Pierre and Ronald Bartel.
And I you know, like I said when I started off the list, is that, you know, it was tough. I mean, when it came to thinking of Cardinals, you know, Tillman and Fitzgerald are pretty much the 1-2 that I think of personally. And I think Tillman would have had a Hall of Fame career if he would have stayed with the football. So, you know, it was tough to put Fitzgerald there. I mean, overall, yes, he is possibly the best Cardinal ever.
So let me answer this question in the comment just really quick. James Gonzalez, you're saying that Aeneas Williams has to be on Arizona's list. I'm saying he is. I had Aeneas Williams at number 5. He was on my list. He was number 5.
You want 5?
I completely agree with you. Yes, we were doing top 5 of Cardinals, and Aeneas Williams was on my number 5. Jake Plummer, however, was not on there.
Do you want 5?
Yes, 5.
All right. So 5, and I'm just gonna say in no particular order because I don't have a 5 through 1 right now. So let me just say that. But I would have to go, if I'm going overall, I go Patrick Peterson, Aeneas Williams, Larry Centers. Everyone forgets about him. How great of a receiving running back he was. Mm-hmm. Larry Centers, Kurt Warner, and Larry Fitzgerald. Those would be my top 5. And again, in no particular order. But
hey, I like it.
I had Centers as well.
Yep. I had Centers on like 6 or 7.
I just think for what he was at the time, like he honestly is probably the greatest receiving running back of all time because that wasn't a thing back then. Like Marshall
Mm-hmm.
Faulk made it big when he came in the league, but Larry Sanders and Eric Metcalf were the first true receiving running backs in the NFL, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And now it's becoming a thing. And so James Gonzalez is saying Aeneas Williams, Jake Plummer, Anquan Bolden, Patrick Peterson, and then Tim Fielder saying, would you put Kurt Warner on the list? A lot of people would. I did not. Randy Cox is saying his top two are Warner and Fitzgerald.
Because those are the only two he can name.
And then James Gonzalez is saying Adrian Wilson. Yeah, you could put
Adrian
him up
Wilson
there
is
too.
one. Yeah, you could put him up there.
You could too. But so we're going to go ahead and jump into our second topic of the night, and this has been going around the sports world forever because it seems like certain people get criticized for it, but then other people want to kind of give others a pass for it. And so the topic that I'm talking about is after somebody loses a game, it doesn't matter if you're a big name, small name, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys think that these players should just bail without going out there and shaking hands? Because you see a lot of people do, but then you see a lot of these big-time names who will just go out there after the game's over and just bail. Okay, now some of them get criticized for it, but then other ones go, you know what, it's okay. He was just going to get a treatment on his foot or his leg or whatever. And I'm like, no, that's bullcrap, man. If you're going to shake somebody's hand when you win, you better shake their freaking hands when you lose. It doesn't matter how long you've been playing for. Doesn't matter the age. Doesn't matter what you've accomplished. You go ahead and shake their hand. So mess around. I'm going to start with you. Do you think it's okay for a player just to bail after a game without shaking hands?
Not at all. I mean, you got like a guy like, I'm not gonna say his name, but he's supposed to be the face of the league, and you got all these little kids looked up to you, and you're supposed to show sportsmanship, and you're gonna walk out the court without shaking hands, and it's not the first time he's done it. He did it before against Boston too, so y'all know what I'm talking about. It's ridiculous, man. You win or lose, you shake hands.
Yeah, and the only reason I'm bringing this up is because if you remember last year in the NFL, when Tom Brady lost to the Rams, okay, he did not go out and shake hands. He took off to the locker room. People bashed him, and said that Tom Brady has to go out there and shake hands, all right? But then let's say the King this year did it, and people are like, well, you have to give him a free pass. He was going, I'm like, no. You bashed, Tom Brady last year for not doing it. You don't want to bash the King. I'm like, come on, man. You can't do a double standard. But J-Mac, what do you think? Do you think that players should just be able to bail after a game without shaking hands?
No. And I think that some guys get a bad rap for it. I mean, we got a guy who is famous for straight cash homie when they asked him about paying a fine for something disgusting he did in Green Bay to the goalpost. And when he was playing with Minnesota the second time, he walked out of a game with like 18 seconds left on the clock. They had the ball back. They weren't going to win. I mean, let's face it, they weren't going to win. It would have been a huge Hail Mary, whatever. But he walked to the locker room. That is what he was remembered for like the next year. That's all they talked about. And Randy Moss was one of the greatest receivers of all time, hands down. I, as a Packer fan, I hated Randy Moss. I hated playing against him because it didn't matter what corner was on him. It didn't matter. He was putting up 100, 150, and 2 or 3 touchdowns. It seemed like every game. I know he didn't have those stats every game, but it seemed like it. And he was very capable of it no matter what game he played in. And again, he's remembered for that forever. But then you're saying, it's okay for LeBron. And I'll say his name. I don't give a shit. Yeah. LeBron, if you're watching, I don't give a shit. Bring it on, bro. Like, look, at the end, it's all about sportsmanship. And again, you got these kids looking up to you, You say that you're the next big thing, or even your own kid. You want to teach your own kid that it's okay to just walk off the court and not shake hands with someone who just beat you.
Yeah, but
I take issue with that. I have a problem with it.
Exactly. See, and I'm not only bringing this up because of that. I'm bringing it up because it's starting to become more and more common now. And that's the problem that I have, is that, it's supposed to be sportsmanship, and you're supposed to be modeling for the younger generation. So you're supposed to be showing them this is how you're supposed to be. Win or lose, you're supposed to go out there and respect the other team. You're supposed to show them that respect and be like, hey, you know what? Awesome job. Congratulations. You did good. We'll see you down the road. Next time, I hope we get you. And that's what.
You know where we don't see this? Do you know where we don't see this? The greatest time of year, the greatest baseball games to ever watch, the Little League World Series. You know why? Because those kids are out there playing because they love baseball. They're not sure they're out there to win a World Series. That'd be awesome for every one of those kids. But you know what? The fact that they got to go and play there and they got to live lifelong memories that they'll never forget playing against teams from all over the world. And you watch every single one of them. They get their head down if they make a bad play, but they get up at the end of the game. They're out there shaking hands with kids from Cuba and shaking hands with kids from Korea. And they'll never forget those kids that they met at the college, at the Little League World Series. You can't be not sportsmanlike. It just doesn't work in
Well,
sports.
J-Mac, and also to top that, with the Little League World Series, I mean, you see kids, they'll be interacting with them outside the game itself. They're trading, little memorabilia to each buddy. They're getting signatures. I mean, they're definitely there to enjoy and have fun and, meet other people. And actually, Tim made a good point. They don't do it in baseball. Yeah, they don't go on the field, but who knows what they do behind, when they're passing in the hallways and stuff. So, but that was a great point on J-Mac to bring up the Little League World Series, because I was going to do that. So
yeah, and so we actually have a comment here in the comment section too, to where James Gins also saying, I remember when Moss left the game in 04 in Washington. That was the final straw for the Vikings. And so not only does it anger some of us, but some organizations it kind of angers too, that they're like, you know what, don't be leaving games in the middle of the game or when the game's about to end. Stay on the sideline, and then when the game's over, come out and shake their hand. I think that's just all around sportsmanship thing. But
and I get the point, and you're right, they should. I mean, but there's times, you're just having a rough game. Maybe you do it in the hallway or stuff. You don't do it in front of people. You leave with your team. Maybe you don't be signaled out. You don't leave 4 seconds left in the game and go to the locker room.
Yeah, but it looks bad. It looks bad.
It does. But, I mean,
This is
you sit on the bench, the team starts walking to the locker room. Then you go back there, and then you go into the opposing locker room and say, hey, good game, guys. Rough time for me. I just didn't want to, But overall, yes, they should be slapping hands, congratulating them.
one thing, Big B. Let me tell you. So I know Brady didn't do it last year, and I'm not a Brady fan in any way.
Yep.
But he gained a little bit of respect with me last year. And do you know when that was?
With Drew Brees.
That was with Drew Brees after that New Orleans game, when he knew it might be the last time they ever are on the field together, and he took time, stopped, put his stuff down, sat there, talked with him, his wife, played catch with the kids, said, hey, take care of your sister, be nice. That shows you that these people are humans also. They are real people like the rest of us. Mm-hmm. And he gained a little bit of respect from me, of for him to recognize, people might call me the greatest of all time, but you're great too. And you deserve a little bit of my time before I move on. And do you ever see LeBron do that? Have you ever seen LeBron do that after a game? No.
All right, so before we keep going on this, we're going to go ahead and jump into our next topic, because J-Mac, you and I have debated on this topic before, because we kind of see a little bit different on this one when it comes to the actual scores in a game. And what I'm talking about is, do you feel like it is okay for a team to go out there and run up a score? If you know the game's over, shouldn't the teams kind of pump the brakes a little bit and be like, you know what, let's pump the brakes, let's just slow it down, the game's over, we don't need to sit there and just rub it in their face? And so J-Mac, I know how you feel about this, So I'm going to give this one to you first.
Stop me then. Then stop me.
Yeah,
Like,
I knew
I'm
that's
sorry,
what I was
but if we're in the end of the game, and then stop me. Seriously. Now, am I saying that if you're winning, 40-3 and there's 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter of an NFL game, that you should be running, Matthew Stafford out there with all of your starting wide receivers? No, that's just plain stupid because you're going to get them hurt. That's not what I'm saying. But if the second team goes out there and they're moving the ball down the field, what do you want them to do? Just go out there and take a knee with 7 minutes left? Like, if they go down and score, they're not rubbing it in. It's like, then stop us if you don't want us to score again. Because now we're beating you with our second team.
Yeah, but I think where this comes into play is to where when teams have this gigantic lead, like they're leading by 37, like you say, and there's like 7 minutes left, and they're running their starters back on the field.
Oh yeah,
and you're like, are you kidding me? You're up by 37 with 7 minutes left. Why are you leaving your starters on the field? Because not only, number one, are you taking the chance of your starters getting hurt, but come on, that's a little overkill. If you're going to score, that's fine, but score with your backups at that point. You're up by 37 with 7 minutes left.
I think it's different by each sport, though, to be honest. I do think that. Because you only have so many bench players in baseball.
Well, no, I get that.
And so you might have already pinch hit once or twice, depending on how long your pitcher went. So, I mean, if you're winning by 14 runs in the 7th inning, you might not have enough guys. You're not going to have enough guys to replace everyone on the field. And if your big star comes up to the plate, do you want him to just stand there and strike out looking on 3 straight pitches just because you don't want him running up the score? Like, I'm sorry, he throws me a fastball down the middle of the plate, I'm going to swing at it.
No,
So
yeah.
I think it's different in different sports. Just putting that out there. I think it's different in different sports.
Well, yeah, because in the NBA, you see that if teams have like a 30-point lead in the fourth quarter, a lot of times you see the coach go, okay, I'm pulling my starting 5 off, I'm bringing in my bench, and then I'm playing the guys who don't get to play a lot, and that's stuff that you see. But sometimes in the NFL, you see, oh, you know what? We're up by 37 with 8 minutes left. We're going to keep in our starters. I'm like, that's just plain ridiculous, man. But, mess around. I'm going to go with you on this. What do you think?
I'm with J-Mac. In some sports, it's fine to do it. Like in college football, you have to run up the score sometimes. If you're playing a lesser opponent, like, I don't know, the Division II school, and you're a powerhouse school, if you don't beat that school by 60, 70 points, you might drop in the rankings. So, you got to run up the score in college. But for the other sports, I don't know if you necessarily need to run up the score. Put in your backups, and like J-Mac said, stop me. I'm running this play, stop it. You can't, I'm going to keep scoring until you stop me. So it's like Buffalo did against Miami at the end of the year. They put in their backups, they still were scoring. So,
yeah, absolutely. And I remember a few years back, when the Oregon Ducks, I forgot who the Ducks were playing, but they were winning by 40 points, and it was like 60-20 at that point or something like that, and they had the ball at like the 5, and it was a 4th and 3, and there was like four minutes left, and everyone's like, oh, the Ducks should kick a field goal, and the coach goes, nope, we're going for it, and they went for it on 4th and 3, and everyone's like, are you kidding me? Why are you not kicking the field goal? Well, that was when Chip Kelly was coach, and Chip Kelly came out and said, well, I felt like kicking the field goal would have been a little bit more of a disrespect because you're almost guaranteed to put points on the board. But by me actually going for it on 4th down, they have a chance to stop me and preventing us from scoring more points. So I don't know. I think it kind of comes with kind of the sport and kind of how you feel about
but
it.
again, like Mess Around said, in college football, it's so different because if you're playing Wisconsin Whitewater, okay, which is a Division III school, and you're only winning 41-20. And the team that's below you in the rankings played, Rice, and they beat them. They beat them 70-14. Even though you won that week, guess what? You're probably flip-flopping in the polls because you didn't beat them by as many as they did. college football, unfortunately, is all about it's all about how much you win by and how good you look every single week. And so, yeah, you're
Yep.
going to be going for it on 4th and 3 at the 5 when you're beating a Division III school by 25 points.
All right, so Big B, what is your take on this?
I mean, we've all made good points. I mean, it does kind of depend on the sport. You know, just earlier this baseball year, Twins were getting killed. They put in their backup catcher. And what does the White Sox do? He had a 3-0 pitch, and next pitch was down the middle, and he hit it, and the ball probably still hasn't landed yet. And they got gripe for it. So it's hit or miss. I mean, yeah, you should play your backups. I mean, I remember, and I know my son was only playing pee-wee soccer or whatever. Well, we had this one kid that scored at will. And I'm like, okay, what do I do? Because this ain't no fun. I mean, I was even bored. And finally the mom, I think, knew I was getting kind of upset or didn't know what to do. She pulled her son aside and goes, you need to stop scoring. Let the other kids get a chance. I'm like, okay, at least the mom says something. But again, how do you tell anybody that's playing a sport not to score? That's what they're there to do. Especially if you're a backup. You want to get in, you want to score. So I mean, it's tough to say no, don't run a score if you're a backup, but yet you want to score because you want to show the coach and the fans you could actually play. So, it's a catch-22, I think.
I don't know about telling them how not to score, Big B, but I could tell you there's a few times on the softball field, Mess Around and Ace have been there for this. When you get this guy down there that's playing third base on a slow-pitch softball team in Coos Bay, Oregon, and he's sitting down there telling you, like, I'm D1 talent. I'm D1 talent. Right, bro, and we're playing on the same softball field in Coos Bay. Nobody gives a shit.
yeah, exactly. But and I know a couple times, because I ref high school games for football and everything, and so I know a few times that I'm reffing these games, and you have a team that's winning 72-18. And the team that's winning 72-18, there's 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and that team is onside kicking the ball and recovering. And the other coach is like, "Can you tell them to stop?" And I'm like, "I can't tell them to stop. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it." And you see the coaches getting mad. It's like, I kind of feel, where they're coming from about running up the score.
Exactly.
Now, onside kicking the ball when you're up by that much, that's a bit much. Like, that's completely ridiculous. That's not something you definitely should do. Yeah. But
no, I remember a game. I don't know if it got national news, but there was 2 high school teams playing, and one team was just destroying the other team. And I think their starting quarterback went out, so they had like no other starting quarterback. And finally, the starting quarterback on the team that was doing the butt whooping, he told his coach, he's like, I'm going to play for the other team so they can actually have somebody decent in there. And they let him do it. So he started playing for the opposing team. They didn't come back a win or anything, but he gave them a chance to run some good plays and have some good talent.
That's like backyard ball when you're like, I'm all-time quarterback for both teams.
Yeah. But he didn't come back for his team anymore. They played the backups then, and
that's always like, Dave. That's always Mess Around's role. He's like, I'm all-time quarterback. Like,
I got this. That's me.
Yeah, but Dave is also the only guy too that I've seen fake out 2 people on the same play. So, yes,
no, it wasn't.
Is that story for another time?
It wasn't 2 people. It wasn't 2 people. It was the same guy twice.
Oh,
yeah. It was J-Mac twice.
On a fake lateral with nobody behind him twice.
Both guys on the field.
Okay, we're gonna have to have Dave back on, and we're gonna have to talk about this later.
Absolutely. But so we're gonna go ahead and jump into our next topic, which is basically just WNBA scores and updates. So
I got it.
All right. Since you had your own spotlight player, I was giving this one to Big B.
That's fine.
If Dave-Mac's got it, go ahead.
I don't have it pulled up yet. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I don't have it pulled up either.
No, I got it. We're good. I was just giving this section to you. But
somebody got it.
Yeah, so let me tell you this about the WNBA.
I'll be prepared next time, knowing that this is my spot. Okay.
Yeah, no, you're good. But let me tell you this about the WNBA this season. I don't know how many people have been watching it, but I'll tell you what, there has been some phenomenal games going on this year. So far, the Las Vegas Aces, they're
Unless
good.
you're an Indiana fan, I don't think they're gonna say they agree with you.
Yeah, but you though, you Big B, we can sit here, we can talk about Minnesota, okay? Because I know you love to talk about Minnesota. So let me ask you
Best
this.
team in Minnesota, right there.
Well, absolutely. That's why, at least in Minnesota, when it comes to WNBA, you have something to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
You have something to talk about.
That's pretty sad.
Are you just a little disappointed, though, that you don't have anything else but WNBA in Minnesota to talk about?
And I think our soccer team's actually doing pretty good this year, too. So, yeah, it's pretty sad when our two best teams have only been around for, I think soccer's been around for 5 years and basketball's been around for, 10, 15 years, and those are our best two things going on in the state. So,
but let me tell you this though, Minnesota, you have to be happy though, Big B, because your Minnesota won today. So that's that, and so your Minnesota team. We came out at the beginning of the season before the WNBA started, and we said that your Minnesota team could potentially surprise some people.
Yep.
Have you been okay so far with kind of the way that they've been playing? Because we know right now that they're 6-7, they're under 500. But now, do you still feel like Minnesota can still make that rebound and that comeback?
Well, they started off slow. They had to rebuild with Augustus retiring and stuff. So, I mean, looking at them, I think they could be, a sleeper team to, right now they're eighth in the conference or league, I guess. So they're in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, they are.
So.
Right now they currently are, but you have to remember, just sitting behind them is Dallas. So Dallas is right there. They're only like a half game out. So
and Dallas is actually a team that does kind of scare me because, draft night they had 3 first-round picks and then a couple in the second round or something. So they're young. So if Dallas starts clicking, I mean, they can move up pretty quickly. And that's one thing Minnesota can't do. They can't afford to lose. We're 13 games in. They play 32 or something like that. So they're just a little bit under halfway there. So,
but I will say
Minnesota doesn't have much room to, have a hiccup here and there.
No, but I'm telling you, at the beginning, right now, as we see it, the two teams that we said were going to be good in the very beginning was Seattle and Las Vegas, and they're sitting at 1-2. You have Seattle that's sitting at 12-3. You have Las Vegas that's sitting at 10-3. But then we look at the bottom of the league and think about Indiana, man.
Yeah.
Sitting at the very bottom of the league. They're sitting at, and no, I'm not kidding about this, guys. They're sitting at 1-14 at the very bottom of the league. This is stuff like I feel like with my Detroit Pistons in the NBA. This is something that Big B feels with his Timberwolves in the NBA. I'm saying now that people can talk about in Indiana and be like that they still have a shot. They have no shot at coming back from this. They're 11 games out of first place and they're sitting at 1-14. So tell me how they have any shot at making it even to the 8th seed.
Well, and just looking at the standings right here, if Phoenix didn't have wins on the road, they'd be right down there with them. I mean, they're 1-5 at home. Indiana's 1-6 at home, 0-8 on the road. We talk about Seattle being the top team. They are undefeated on the road, and that, in any sport, it's hard to do, to win every game on the road so far. So,
absolutely,
shout out to them. So,
but my surprise team so far this year, Washington Mystics. I did say I had Washington Mystics about I had them being about an 8th seed, when the season started, but they're currently at a 4 seed. So right now, I feel like the Washington Mystics are overachieving just a little bit. I still think they're going to be a playoff team. I said that they were going to be, but I think towards the end they're going to probably be around a 7th or 8th seed. Allie is playing really good right now. She's actually an incredible pace right now. I saw them play a game the other day against Las Vegas, and I'll tell you what, they actually gave Las Vegas a game. They did. I was really impressed. It actually went down to the 4th quarter, and with about 3 minutes left, and then Las Vegas actually took it over. But I'm like, man, you got to give Washington credit, man. They're young, they're hungry, and Washington Mystics is going to definitely be an up-and-coming team. J-Mac.
Yeah, the WNBA has been definitely an exciting season, and I agree with you all on Indiana. I thought that the draft was going to help them a lot more than it did, to be honest. And they really they have one win,
but they don't have enough experience yet. They don't give them about 3 years, and they're not going to be 1 or 2, but I think that they're going to be a top. They're going to at least probably be sitting around 5. So
yeah, I mean, I get
but I
that.
say give them about 3 years.
Yeah, they'll be there. Again, like Brandon already said, Seattle on the road. Being a Seattle fan, I have to say, like, you don't lose on the road, you're gonna have a good year, and they're probably a lock for the number 1 seed in the West if they continue to play the way they did, for sure, on the road. So.
Yeah, I told you, though, my team is Las Vegas Aces, yours is Seattle. You're saying that Seattle's a lock at number 1. I don't think they are. I think that the Las Vegas Aces are going to be right there. And then when we actually look at the Eastern, too, let's not forget about the team I was talking about with the Washington Mystics, okay? Washington is right there, and currently sitting right in front of them is Connecticut. But I'm telling you, I think that Washington could surpass them if they continue to play like this. But I think at some point they're going to come back down to earth. They're going to end up being right around maybe a 6 or 7. Mess around. Do you have anything that you want to say on this? You're on mute.
My Chicago Sky are doing all right this year. They're 8-7. So I don't really watch a lot of WNBA, but
they're only a game and a half out of first place, but it's still young in the season. But they're still only a game and a half out of first, and we know that you're all Chicago. Like you love Chicago. I completely understand that, but yeah, absolutely. But all right, so. Since we're starting to run short on time here, we're going to go ahead and jump into our next topic, which is basically J-Mac Spotlight Players. So, J-Mac, you go ahead and take away your Spotlight Player. Who do you have for us tonight?
Well, I'm going to play one of the greatest clips of all time for a greatest celebration ever. I'm actually going to do something live here, so let me play this real quick. You guys will remember this. I know Ace will. This might have been the greatest saying ever after clinching something, and then we'll talk about him.
I don't think we have any volume, though.
No, we don't. There you go. All right, there you go. Okay, so.
Can you hear that or not?
No,
I missed it.
No, there was no sound. But anyway, so go ahead and tell me. Go ahead.
Sorry. The whole premise behind that is, yes, whoever wrote that, you're right. Who do you think you are? I am. So he needed a strike that was Pete Weber, probably the greatest bowler in the world in history. Needed a strike to get that. They all doubted him because I think he was 52 at that time when he hit that shot. And they were all like, there's no way. He's too old. He's not going to do it. Need a strike to do it. He got it. And his reaction, you saw his reaction. And what he's saying during that time is, that's right, I did it. God damn it. Who do you think you are? I am. Like, that was maybe the greatest celebration ever after clinching something. And just to tell you how good he was at bowling, he was on since he was 26. He's like 58 now, I want to say. And he has hit the most 300 games ever. He's been national finalist 37 times on the PBA Tour. He started in 1979. He's still going in the senior tour now. I didn't know there was a senior tour for bowling, but apparently there is. So he's still going there. Just one of the greatest guys ever. He's got 37 titles. He's one of only 3 in history with Walter Ray Williams Jr. and Earl Anthony to earn at least 50 combined titles between the PBA Tour and the PBA 50 Tour. And him and Williams Jr. are the only 2 to have amassed 100 total titles in their careers. He's won bowling's U.S. Open a record 5 times and is the only player in history to win each of the PBA's Triple Crown, the U.S. Open, the PBA World Championship, and the PBA Tournament Champions. And he's done it twice in his career. He's the only one to do it.
Well, I think Christie stated it simply
Legend.
a legend. I mean,
oh yeah. I mean, there's nothing. He'll always be remembered, and I'll always remember him as that. And actually, it says right here, looking up his information, it says Gary Thorne is the announcer, and Gary Thorne says, "Strike to claim it, a strike to claim it," and he got it. And Weber comes out, and he's like, "Yes, God damn it, yes, that is right, I did it. That's number 5. Are you kidding me? That's right. Who do you think you are? I am. Damn it, right."
Nice.
Yeah, and James Gonzalez is actually leaving a comment saying his wife looked embarrassed after he yelled.
Oh, she probably was.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, Pete Weber, the bowling's fun to watch. If anyone doesn't watch it, it can be fun to watch at times. So give a little light on that sport tonight. Go back and watch Pete Weber. It's some great stuff.
All right, which now brings us to our final session of the night on Sports Minute, which everybody knows that we've been doing this GM game to basically just be like, okay, this is who we have to root for in each division. So Big B, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start out with you, and you tell me division by division, and your team by team on how your teams are doing.
Well, let's see. I have Baltimore Orioles. They did nothing, so they're still last place. Got a point there. The Royals, they're staying solid at 3rd, so I got 3 points. And then Anaheim, Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, or whatever they're called. They stayed at 4th. Phillies took a big drop for me. They went from 2nd to 4th in just a week. So that was my big hit. St. Louis Cardinals, they stayed 4th. And the Rockies stayed 4th. So I ended up dropping 2 points, and I went from 14 to 12.
So you
Top
actually
that,
lost
J-Mac.
points.
Yeah, I lost points. Top that, J-Mac.
J-Mac, it's now your turn. Brandon's not too enthused about his teams right now because he knows he has dropped.
Well, the American League, I'm not doing too awful. I'll tell you that. So where I'm lucky is that 3 of my teams are in first place, but then my other 3 teams are in last place. So in the American League, I'm actually okay. I got Boston, who's in first place by a half a game, but it's still first place, so 5 points. Then I got the Twins.
Right.
So
I tell you
6
what,
points.
the Twins stay healthy. They're gonna be a hard team to keep down there.
Yeah, that's what you said last time.
Well,
Then I got the Astros in the West, so I got another 5 points there. They're a healthy 2 games up. So I got 11 points in the American League. Not doing bad. Then we get to the National League. And I just got to say, I might have the 2 worst teams in history. Not just this season. Like in the National League, listen to this shit mess around. I might have the 2 worst teams in history, okay, in the National League. So I have the Mets. They're first place. I got 5 points, right? My other 2 teams in the National League are the Pirates and the Diamondbacks.
Hey, Diamondbacks won a game recently. So
Oh, boy. You're right. They won a game. They won a game. Do you know what that put them?
Last place.
That put them 10 and a half games out of 4th place.
Right.
They are 28 games out of first place, and they've only played 76 games.
Yeah.
And they're already 28 games out of first place. You telling me they're coming out of the basement?
So how many total points do you have?
18.
18. So J-Mac has 18 points, and James Gonzalez is saying Pirates and Diamondbacks sound like misery.
It is misery.
Yes,
Because the Pirates are 9 games out of 4th place.
Yeah, I mean it's horrible.
Wait till they play each other.
Well, no, and that's why I said last week, and I said, imagine taking the 2 worst teams in baseball and sticking them in a World Series and saying these 2 teams are playing in a World Series. That would be horrible to watch. And Christy Wilson saying, at least my Red Sox are doing good despite getting their butts kicked by the Rays today. It happens, though. Baseball, you're going to lose games.
We got to ask Chrissy who she really roots for because she has a story behind this. So.
And Randy, though, is saying things are looking up for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, when they open up their eyes and they're not getting out of bed, it looks up.
Right now.
All right, Ace, now it's your team.
How are things looking up, Randy? Tell me, what are they looking up to the rest of the teams that are far and away above them?
This Diamondbacks team might be potentially one of the worst teams I've ever
And
seen
we all
in the
thought
history of
Pittsburgh was going to be
MLB.
it.
Yeah, and this is nothing like this Diamondbacks team is horrible, awful. I've never seen a team this bad before. I don't even think
Pittsburgh is only 20 games under 500. That's terrible. Like that. Don't get me
exactly.
wrong. That's awful. The Diamondbacks, 76 games into the season, okay, are 34 games under 500.
And their last road win was a no-hitter.
Do you know that means, okay, so 76 games, right? That's 24, 62. That means they have 86 games left in the season. So to get over 500 for the season, they have to win 55 of their next 86 games to get over 500 for the season. That's not even getting out of last place. That's just getting over 500.
And think about this. The Tigers have the worst the Tigers actually have the record for the least amount of wins ever in a season, and I believe it's right around like 44. I do believe it's like 38 or 44 or something like that.
It's 42.
Yeah, and the Diamondbacks, they might get there.
We all thought Pittsburgh was going to do it.
They might get there. But
right now they're projected to win 45 games.
Yeah, so if you're a Diamondbacks fan, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. But the most ridiculous thing about this is, J-Mac, if you remember, 2 of their wins was in the same day against our Atlanta Braves. When we got 1 hit off this team in 2 games. One freaking hit.
They don't even get credit for the no-hitter.
Exactly. 1 hit in 2 games in that day, and they don't even get credit for that dang no-hitter. That's ridiculous. Okay, but so my teams, I've got the Yankees who are sitting in third. I'm completely happy about it. I can't stand the Yankees, so I'll definitely take the loss on that. I don't even care. And then Dave will be very happy about this because my other team is the White Sox. The White Sox, I've got them sitting in first place, so they have me 5 points right there. But then this is kind of where it got tragic, and my next two teams are tragic. I've got the Rangers, who are sitting in last place. They have me 1 point right now. Complete and utter disaster. That's horrible.
Yeah.
And then I've got the Marlins, who are sitting in last place. So that's only 1 point there also. And then I got the Brewers, who are actually sitting in first place right now, which nobody saw that coming. And then I've got the Dodgers, who are actually sitting in second place. So I've got a total of 5, 10, 14, 17, 8, 19 points. I've got a total of 19 points right now. So I'm hanging on to that first place right now.
So you realize that 3 of my teams are in first place and 3 are in last place, and 3 are not coming out of last place.
No.
So I got 18 points. Like, that's where my teams can only drop. I can't get any better.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, the only thing you can hope for is that the Orioles, the Pirates, or the Diamondbacks manage to get into fourth place.
I don't have the Orioles. I have the Red Sox.
Oh,
I know
you're right.
No,
You're-
I have the
you're-
Twins. I have to hope the Twins
right.
get into
Yes,
fourth
you have the
place.
Twins, the Pirates, and the Diamondbacks.
Well,
of
the
those
Twins
teams you
are in
have to
fourth
hope you
place,
get
so
up.
they can move up to third.
All right. All right, so with that, we're going to go ahead and go around the room, give everybody 30 to 45 seconds. Well, before we do that, mess around. You're the only guy here that has a team that's in first place currently
What's it like?
in MLB. So let everybody know what it's like.
What it's like to be in first place is unbelievable, especially with 2 of our starting outfielders being out most of the season. So I can't believe they're playing as well as they have without Jimenez and Luis Robert.
So you guys got your parade route already mapped out on, when you guys bring home the cup or the trophy?
Do what?
I said
You're-
you guys got your parade route all mapped out to where, once you bring home that World Series trophy, where's it going to go?
Oh yeah,
Where are you going to celebrate at?
we're gonna go to the new Bears Stadium where they're gonna build
Okay.
Arlington Heights.
All right, well, we are going to go around the room now, give it 30, 45 seconds for anybody to go ahead and wrap it up. Big B, I'm
Yeah.
going to go ahead and I'm going to start with you, sir. 30, 45 seconds.
Thanks for everybody commenting, sharing, hopefully. It's always fun to interact with James and Randy and Christine. Tim, I know you're on there a couple times. Isaiah. It's fun. Let all your Facebook friends know. We got a great product we're bringing out. With that being said, catch me on Sunday for You Think You Know, Family Feud edition. Last week was okay. We had some good questions and good answers, so join us for then.
All right, and then, of course, mess around Dave. You got 30, 45 seconds. Go ahead and wrap her up.
Thanks for having me. I always enjoy being on Sportsminute with you guys. Pleasure. Chris, thanks for doing the backstage stuff. Have a good night, guys.
All right, and then J-Mac, the bearded one. It's all you, brother.
All right, Friday night you got the Four Bros radio show. Saturday night you got Sports Minute. Sunday you got You Think You Know. Monday you come back around. You got the week to start again. You also got Between the Ropes on Sunday, so don't forget about that. You got a couple of great shows coming up. Make sure you're watching all that. Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. We got you no matter what you want. We got you. By the way, Chris Mabry in the background, I got to say, man, you're the hardest working man in show business.
Hey,
No,
his
I
name's
agree.
Phil. His name's Phil. Let's not forget that.
Phil McCracken, you the hardest working man on this
Yes.
network.
All right,
Don't you
so-
forget it, brother.
Yeah, and so let's not forget tomorrow night, we have Smells Like Hope, and then we also have Speak Out with none other than Trey Collis and myself. We're going to be recapping some NBA playoffs, so look forward to that. And then Friday, don't forget our very special roundtable that we do. You're going to get to know some of us. Hop on there, ask us whatever questions you would like about our lives or whatever. We'll answer it. We usually play some fun games. I think you guys will enjoy that on Friday. And then even on Sunday, let's not forget on Sunday for Between the Ropes, we are going to have another special guest, though, for you. I don't know the exact time yet. We'll go ahead and post that when I know about our special guest. And we also have something very, very interesting that we have started doing now. And now you're going to be able to catch it on Between the Ropes. I think everybody's going to really enjoy it. So come out and check it out and find out exactly what the crew on Between the Ropes is up to. With that being said, I am Ace, and I am awesome. Take it out.